So today I'm going to present to you a tale of two owls. Basically, we're going to talk about two species of owls that are very closely related that humans have had vastly different impacts on. So both of these owls belong to the genus Strix. So if you don't know what genus means, that's the level right above species in how we classify animals. So that makes these owls basically cousins. The first owl we're going to talk about is the barred owl. So the barred owl is named after this bar-like pattern you can see on their feathers. They originate from the eastern United States, but as humans expanded west, like Europeans expanded west, barred owls were able to follow. So since we were making more barns and growing more crops, that made more food available for them because rodents like to go and travel to where humans are, and they would follow the rodents. So now these barred owls came all the way from like the eastern United States to now they're kind of in the Pacific Northwest as well, so the Oregon, Washington, Canada area. Next, we're going to talk about the spotted owl. Now, the spotted owl is named for these little spot patterns on its feathers. Okay. A lot of people have heard a lot about the spotted owls. They were kind of a big test species for the Endangered Species Act. I remember when I was younger, my dad kind of complaining about, oh, the spotted owl is ruining the blah 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 industry, because a lot of laws were put in place to protect them that kind of had to change how we did a lot of stuff. So these owls originate in the western United States, so they are kind of in California, Washington, Oregon. They can make their way all the way down into Mexico, but really only on the western side. But due to all of our human activities, we have greatly reduced the area that these owls live in. Because these owls mostly like to live in old growth forests, which are the perfect trees for humans to like cut down to make furniture, housing, and all sorts of good products out of. So because of that, their territory and area they can live is greatly reduced. Now we're going to focus in a little more on our barred owl. Like I was telling you guys, the barred owl originates in the eastern United States and makes their way west. Their preferred habitat is going to be old growth forest, but they also like to have waterways nearby, so rivers, swamps. So sometimes they are actually called the swamp owl. Their main diet is going to be small mammals, so like mice, rats, stuff like that. But since they do like to live by waterways, they'll also sometimes get like frogs, crayfish. There's some barred owls who eat so much crayfish that they actually get some pink in their feathers. So think about it a lot like how a flamingo is completely pink because all they eat is like little shrimps and krill. That can sometimes happen to barred owls, but to a much less extent. So barred owls, like lots of owls, are mostly nocturnal. You could actually tell how nocturnal an owl is by looking at its eyes. For instance, some owls will have yellow eyes, meaning they're probably more corpuscular, which means they're kind of active during those dusk and dawn hours. Then you have some owl species with orange eyes, meaning they like to be up a little later, a little more into the night. But our barred owl is in the group of owls with pitch black eyes. And that means they're up like in the peak dark hours. And those eyes really help them kind of absorb the maximum amount of light they can in such dark conditions. But another really great adaptation they have that helps them hunt and survive in such dark conditions is their hearing. Owls have some of the best hearing. Their ears are in a really funny position. It's called asymmetrical, where one ear might be down here and the other ear is up here. That kind of lets them make like almost a 3D sound map of their area. That way they could be flying and they could hear like a little rustle down here in the bush, maybe a little rustle up here in the tree. Another adaptation they have is their feathers are frayed at the end. So if you look at like an eagle's feather, they're gonna be nice and straight, and when they flap, you can hear it. Because during the daytime, you can see an eagle before you're going to hear it if you're someone running from it. But for owls, these fray feathers make them have completely silent flight. That way when they're hunting, their prey won't really hear them coming, and they have a better kind of advantage on sneaking up on them. The barred owl's kind of main predator, the main thing that's going to eat a barred owl is going to be a different species of owl we have here in North America, the great horned owl. So great horned owls are going to be much bigger. They are also very common in all over the United States, and they share a lot of the same habitats with barred owls. So if a barred owl shares an area with a great horned owl, they're usually going to try and move out of the way That way they're less likely to be attacked. Barred owls have a really distinctive call, and you might have heard this call before. A lot of people say it sounds like, who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? So it kind of goes like, hoo 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 hoo, hoo 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 hoo. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about our spotted owl. So remember I was saying the spotted owl, they originate in the western United States. They are also very nocturnal. They have those black eyes, and because of that, they have a lot of those same adaptations we talked about with our barred owl. So the black eyes, the really great hearing, the silent flight. Now their habitats, like we were saying, is old growth forest. They don't really need the waterways as much as our barred owl, but both owls like the same kind of old growth forests. The spotted owl's main diet is going to be small mammals. What they rely on the most is going to be actually flying squirrels and wood rats. Wood rats are these cute little rats who make these cool little wood houses. They also have a common predator. Both owl species' biggest predator is the great horned owl, which I actually grabbed a great horned owl so you guys can kind of see what they look like. So here's our great horned owl. Okay, you can see named for the little horns here, which are actually called plumicorns, you know, the Latin root for feather and the Latin root for horn. But just compare the sizes of these two, right? Our spotted owl, much smaller than our great horned owl. Now, our spotted owl's call is not as distinct as our barred owls. Like, our barred owls has that very good pattern that you can recognize. Spotted owls, theirs is more of like a kind of simple whoo-whoo kind of thing. And also, each subspecies of spotted owl has kind of their own distinct call. So the ones in Mexico, California, Utah, they all have their own kind of distinct hoot noise. But talking about all that, you can kind of see where an issue might come up, right? Barred owls and spotted owls, they both like the same habitat. They both have the similar food that they like to eat. They both are awake during the same time. And now, barred owls are coming into spotted owls' territory. So the main threat to spotted owls is still going to be that loss of habitat due to human actions, but now on top of that, they have to worry about their cousins, the barred owl. So just looking at the two of them, you might notice, right, barred owls are a little bigger. They're usually more kind of aggressive or more adaptable than the spotted owls, so they're kind of being able to bully their spotted owl cousins for the best territory, the best hunting grounds. And on top of that, in select areas, they're actually starting to hybridize, which means they're starting to interbreed and have babies together, so you're not really getting purebred spotted owls anymore. So it's kind of like a triple whammy for them. Yes, that happens because they're so closely related. So like I said, they're both in the same genus. Right? So yeah, that's kind of some information about our two owls. So just kind of be aware of that, especially if you're in the west coast, that barred owls, even though they are a beautiful animal, they're not really the best for the western side of the United States. They do really well in the east where kind of their natural habitat is, but we don't really want them here. Alright, and that's all I have for you guys. I will hopefully see you on the next video.